Donald Trump's desperation and fear as his legal troubles mount have led him to releasing potentially the most dangerous message yet, an action that, if he were anyone else, would land him in pretrial detention. Donald Trump is in the middle of a civil trial in New York in relation to his fraudulent business practices. The evidence for the first and largest claim being brought against Trump and his business was so substantial that the judge was able to rule on it before the trial even started. Indeed, the judge found Trump defrauded banks and other entities throughout the years. And Trump is obviously feeling the heat with this case and his other mounting legal troubles, and is lashing out in a dangerous way. Despite already being subjected to a gag order in this case, he released a message on Truth Social that rises to the level of putting the life of New York Attorney General Letitia James in jeopardy. She's, of course, the individual bringing this case against Donald Trump, and Trump posted on Truth Social an attack against her that included a link that appears to contain her home address. Now, let me make something clear before showing you the message from him. Behavior like this from anyone else would lead to severe repercussions, potentially pretrial detention. It would be justified to jail Trump based on his actions so far as a criminal defendant, threatening a potential witness, Mark Milley, doxing an attorney general, going after the family of prosecutors, court staff, etc. I know it is extremely unlikely that would happen because of who he is, but it is absolutely the case. One more thing before looking at the message from Trump. Glenn Kirshner wrote on X in response to a different one of Trump's posts, "The standard for pretrial detention is clear and convincing evidence that the defendant is a flight risk or a danger to the community. Trump indisputably poses a danger to the community, more so than thousands of others who presently are jailed pending trial." Absolutely. And here is this from Trump on Truth Social. He wrote, "Her fake case against me should be dropped immediately. My financial statements are extremely conservative and her numbers were way off, including the fact that she undervalued Mar-a-Lago and Doral by billions of dollars. She also didn't reveal the 100% disclaimer clause at the front of the financial statement, and that she sued me under a statute that was never used before. Miscarriage of justice and election interference all wrapped up in one." And we'll address some of those claims a little bit later on in this video. And then linked is an article from Laura Loomer, who I somewhat recently conducted a pretty wild interview with. You can find that on the YouTube channel. And in the article, Letitia James's home address appears to be provided. I'm obviously not going to show you any of this article. I don't have to explain to anyone why this is so dangerous. Trump is signal boosting a link that potentially contains the very information deranged individuals could use to do severe harm. And if you somehow don't think that is a realistic possibility, let me remind you of a few people. A Trump supporter named Abigail Jo Schrei was arrested for threatening to kill the judge overseeing Trump's election interference case. Another Trump supporter, Craig Robertson, threatened all essentially of Trump's political enemies and explained in detail how he was going to assassinate Joe Biden. FBI agents carried out a raid at his home. He drew his gun and was shot dead. He believed in the lies Trump espouses and now is dead because of it. Or Ricky Schieffer, who attacked an FBI office because of his belief that the FBI is targeting Trump and had an AR-15 style rifle and handgun, also ended up being killed by agents. People are listening to Trump's words, reading his posts, and acting based off of it. And already there are dead bodies because of it. This matters. And Trump is doing nearly everything he can to make the next person who gets harmed because of his lies one of his political enemies. Now, by the way, Trump was at the New York courthouse today. Here is more of his nonstop attacks against Letitia James.
But just as the Attorney General of New York State, Letitia James, and she shouldn't be allowed to be Attorney General. She's defrauded the public with this trial. She said that Mar-a-Lago, she convinced the judge that Mar-a-Lago was worth, in Palm Beach, Florida, the most expensive land in the world, I guess, and the most expensive houses definitely in the world, that Mar-a-Lago, the biggest house, the most spectacular place in all of Florida, was worth $18 million when it's worth approximately, could be close to 100 times that amount. And based on that testimony and based on her convincing the judge that Mar-a-Lago was worth $18 million instead of $1 billion to $1.5 billion, which would sell very easily, which we've already proven, but we'll have people come up and say that and prove it, the most important people, the brokers that make the sales. But based on that, he ruled against me. He ruled fraud. I mean, he said fraud. They are the fraudulent people because they ruled a house that was worth 18. They put down as worth 18 million, and it's worth maybe close to 100 times that amount. And based on that, they ruled against me having to do with fraud, which is a big statement. But they are the frauds, because the house is worth $1 billion, $1.5 billion, $750 million. It's worth a fortune. It's the most expensive house probably in the world, and they said it was worth $18 million. And they don't do anything about it.
Now, of course, he's spewing complete and total nonsense. No, Mar-a-Lago is not worth $1.5 billion. Even according to his own real estate agent, as Mediaite writes, in reality, the $18 to $27 million range was actually derived from a local government appraisal that Trump's own real estate agent signed off on as recently as 2020 and was itself likely higher than Trump's broker wanted it to be, according to the office that issued the estimate. And then here was more of his rants at the courthouse.
And it's a disgrace. Now it's turned out that I have great financial statements. It's turned out that the company is worth much more than the financial statements. They were saying just the opposite. They valued things at ridiculous numbers, like Mar-a-Lago at $18 million, when it's worth perhaps 100 times that amount. Perhaps 100 times. The fact is we have a corrupt legal system in New York City and New York State. And you know what? We have a corrupt legal system in our country. The DOJ is corrupt, and they're leading this whole thing for election interference. Thank you very much. Are you going to come back and waste your time again, sir?
So despite the fact that none of what he is saying is based in fact, his followers will continue to believe every single word. And they continue to believe him to be this big victim, the biggest on the planet. And Trump knows across all the cases he's caught up in, somewhere he's going to be held accountable, which terrifies him. So he's channeling that fear into targeting human beings just doing their jobs. Hopefully the voters will hold him accountable for that behavior in 2024. Before you go, don't forget to become a member at lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, where you will now be getting access to a daily bonus show, dire bonus show, Monday through Friday, exclusively for our members. Plus, follow me on Threads at Luke Beasley Official, Instagram at Luke Beasley Official, Twitter or X at Luke P. Beasley. Sign up for the morning newsletter called The Beasley Brief that summarizes the previous day's events by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/brief. And I will see you all in the next video.